Hello everyone, I'm here to livecast the second PU Taurus Suspect Tournament. This is a PU Room tournament where the winner of it gets voting requirements for the ongoing Taurus Suspect test that's happening in PU. So this is the second variation of it. The first one happened yesterday. It was won by Paniracotta, and this one's just kicking off now. We got a great turnout for it. First one, I think we had about 16 people. We have 40 people for this one here, which is incredible. Um, I was hoping we'd get to about 25. 40, I didn't expect anywhere near that. So, really excited for this. I think we're going to get some fantastic matchups, which is why I'm streaming this today. I'm going to kind of be moving in and out of games as I see them, especially in these earlier rounds, just looking at the kind of juicier matchups, see what we can get. Look at kind of the known names, see what they're bringing. I would say there's a decent amount of known players playing on ults as well for this. They're allowed to do that, and then they reveal their ult if they win the tournament. If they don't win, they just keep their ult hidden. It's for the PUPL players, so they can keep the teams they're using hidden in case they don't end up winning it, and it just allows more people to join in the tournament. And so, looking at these first few matchups, a lot of interesting one. This is the one I'm most interested in at the minute. Danny and Orist. Danny being a PUPL player, and Orist is somewhat involved in the scene as well. I'm just going to close these here. Seems Danny is not taking this incredibly seriously though, as we see a Quaxwell, Dartrix, Crocolore team, but that's fine. Orist with a very a proper team, resembles what the meta is looking like right now. You're seeing a lot of these Tauros, Little Gant, Mischievous, Articuno +2 builds. If you take a look at the PPL games this week, most teams would follow that format, and so we're seeing a decent amount of that. Danny is somewhat inexperienced with the tier. I know he's picked it up for PUPL, but yeah, I have no idea what he's bringing. I think he's just here to have a bit of fun, test out the three starter team and see how he does. So we've got this one going on here. I'm assuming Oris is just going to run away with this just on account of Danny bringing a bit of a troll team, but we'll see how we do. Like, all these Pokemon are viable. Quaxwell is a spinner. I won't say it's a good one, but it does spin. Dartrix is probably the best hazard control in the tier right now, and Crocolore has this kind of niche role of being an unaware Pokemon that can kind of answer into Lilligant, as we just saw here. So it's not like it's a super unviable team, but yeah, we'll see how gets going on that. Let's see if there's any other good ones going on. Avarice Blue IM. Alright, that's a good game. Two PUPL starters. As we see, Avarice has loaded up a Sun team, and Blue, again, a fairly standard build. Deviates a little bit by not bringing a Lilligant, but it's, nothing super unusual about this, but this game seems like it might already be cooked. I'm not sure Blue has anything to match a +2/+2 Scoville at this stage. Yeah, especially if it's going to be Giga Drain, it just gets all its HP back there. Sun is out in 3 turns, which will allow Tauros to come in and revenge kill it, but I'm not sure. Okay, so we see the Articuno pivot. Yeah, Avarice reads that with a good flamethrower. If you're Blue here, I'm not sure what you're trying to do to counteract this, because obviously you need to stall out the 2 turns, come in with Tauros to be able to kill this, but you also need to put yourself in a position that when Shrewdle gets Sun Up, you don't immediately lose to one of these last few Pokemon here, which is a difficult spot given where he's found himself in. I'm curious to see how the Scoville got to +2/+2. I know you just need 1 Groat in the Sun, but normally it's not that easy to get that off. We see a Hyper Voice in DD there. Hyper Voice. Okay, on that switch there as blue tried to sack the Wish Cache. Which, you know, fair enough on the Wish Cache sack. Um, I think he just wasn't accounting for the possibility of Scovillain having Grout. As we see, well, the sun is gone now. I'd like to say that Tauros is able to kill this here. Oh, I guess indeed he can as well with the Spadef drop. Uh, yeah, this does look like a difficult prospect for blue, and he doesn't even kill the Charizard with the Indeedee there. So it's like, this is going to be a blaze. Oh, he goes for Solar Beam. That's I guess covering the Carbon switch because he knows he can get Intrudal here, get up Sun, and then probably win with Scovillain. Oh wow, that Trudel took that a lot better than I expected it to. Yeah, we'll check back into that anyway. Let's see how the Stanny game's going. So we left off with the Misdreavus in on Electrode. We see the Volt Switch, I'm assuming out into Crocalor. Oh, okay, it's Scint Lily. But I don't think that allows it to be Croc. We're going to see a Missy Pain split here. Yeah, so this Missy's going to be annoying for Danny to kill because it can just keep coming in on stuff and Pain splitting back off the damage. And I don't see the Rotom counterplay. Okay, just leaving Electrode in. It is Scarf Rotom, which is good for Danny. I think Oris probably should have been looking at a Blizzard there. As Croc comes back in, we see the Missy once again. I'm assuming we see. Oh, you can probably just Hex here. Yeah. Oh, that's a tough crit for Danny. But now we see their main switch into Missy is gone, so it can just start pain splitting on everything. They get a crit back onto the Rotom. I'm assuming we see a trick on this. Oh no, just a Volt switch out into Berserker. We probably see hazards go up here finally. Yeah. But Dartrix can just defog those away, no problem. I don't know what Lilligant's doing here. This can just Brave Bird it. That's an odd line there. We see the Berserker come back in. I'm assuming Danny switches out there on a potential Terra Ice, and this is where we stand right now. So Danny's actually doing a good job outlasting everything or Citrona him, but those rocks going up is annoying because Dartrix is going to come in at 50 and it's going to have trouble defogging, and it means Croc can't just freely come in and throw flamethrowers against the Lilligant anymore. So this does become easier to pressure for Orist. What's that at? I don't know if I love the Dartrix here. It gets taunted. I'm assuming Danny's going to knock onto the Missy on the taunt here, but you're pretty much sacrificing hazards by bringing Dartrix in here. Yeah, so we see that play out, and I understand the value in getting the Eevee-like on and getting this is probably getting an opportunity to kill the Missy. I'm just not sure it's worth sacrificing hazards in this situation. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We'll come back to that in a little bit. I'm assuming this game's over. Yeah. Tough matchup for blue. It's when you're playing a weather team like that and you get behind that early, it's really, really difficult to come back. And I think they got some of the pivot turns wrong, which really just doomed them from that point on. So let's see. Few results coming in here. We saw Uber Skitty beat Mr. Aldo. That's an interesting result. Both of them are kind of known faces around the community. Esta managed to beat, I'm guessing this is someone's alt. So we get this as our first third round matchup. Zooey Sugar Ovens, these are two people who are around PU a lot. We see Jacuzing beat Togkey. Togkey is a PUPL SV starter. So that would suggest to me Jacuzing is somebody on an alt. But they could be anyone, just at a guess. Some other stuff coming through here. The Showdown Hoedown is on a good run. MZ and a suspect alt are going. So few games, most games have finished their first matchup. Few they're finished up. I'd like to check in on this one. Slade is another person who got picked up for PUPL. As we see, again the similar initial core. We have Kuno, Lily, Missy, and then it kind of follows on from that. So it's a sleep powder Missy though, which you actually. Oh, sorry, no. Where did I see that? Sorry, the other side is a sleep powder Missy, which I actually don't think we've seen a lot of recently. Most of them tend to be Quiver Dance, Synthesis, Terra Blast, Giga Drain, and then Terra of your choice. So we see, looking at this here, looks like they're trying to win with Carbink here before the Lilligant gets out of hand, but I don't see this working out for them at all, because Lilligant can come in here, it resists Carbink's Moonblast and Body Press, it can Quiver Dance and just start Giga Draining on it, and it's going to have that recovery. Unless Brewsty gets very lucky with crits and special attack drops, and even at that, I'm not sure. Yeah, like that just does way too much. Lily's back up to full. Everything is in Giga Drain range, so this game's over here, and looks like Slade will move on to the next round. Is this one still going on? Somehow still going. You see Danny saving the Dartrix as a sack for later. I don't know if I love that much. You kind of need your health on Carbink here, I think. Oh, that was a an aggressive double there from Orist. Oh, into a substitute Tauros. Is this okay? Oh, Danny is dual removal. I didn't expect that at all. But doesn't look like they. Yeah. So Danny dual removal, it means Crocklore is still alive, still able to deal with the Lilligant, and that actually puts them in a very good position to win this game now. I don't see how Orist is going to break this unless, well, we've seen them use their Terra. I was thinking maybe if they Terra with their Kuno and have some advantageous type, they could be able to pressure, but yeah, where things stand, I don't think Orist is going to be able to break this, and we should see Danny move on to the next round. So I'm going to see if there's anything else going on. Esta and Uber Skitty is an interesting matchup. First Calyrex of the tour. First showing of a few Pokemon here. I think this is actually our first Skuntank, surprisingly. First Skuntank, first Dashboon. Dashboon seems to have kind of fallen off the radar a little bit, mainly on account of Articuno being so good, I feel. It's just, its value as a bulky pivot is lessened when we've got such a good option in Articuno available to us, and we saw there that was a heavy duty boots Tauros from Uber Skitty, which is an idea that's kind of been toyed around with a little bit. You sacrifice a lot of power, but as you can kind of see in a lot of these early games, hazards dominate current SVPU, and being able to prevent taking damage on switching is huge for a Pokemon like Tauros. So it might be worthwhile sometimes to sacrifice that damage output just to be able to mitigate that. I'm still not fully sold on the idea, but I can understand what they're going for with that. Two fortunate parallels from the Persian here puts what looked like a very good position for Esta maybe into the favor of Skitty now. I think, oh, okay, well we see a Dragon Dance Charizard. I don't see how this gets kind of played into unless, oh, it's Dragon Dance Special. That's a cool set. So that means Calyrex can probably take one. Yeah, Calyrex can probably take one. I don't think, well, this is going to get EQ'd, I'm assuming. Or not. No, I'm really interested by this set now. What are you accomplishing with Dragon Dance here? Oh, we see a dual hurricane miss. That's really unfortunate for Esta. But it looks like they should be able to take it with Lily anyway. Okay, we see dual terrors come out, and Esta has the correct one for the matchup, and that will be the game right there. So Esta moves on to, I believe that's the semi-finals. No, quarterfinals, where they'll be playing the winner of Get Slayed Sun and Wolf Iron. Any other late games? Did we get a result in the Orist game we were keeping an eye on? No, we didn't. That's still going. So where are we now on this? Oh, so the Crocodile revealed Roar while we weren't watching. I guess that does make sense on this set. Stack off with Flamethrower Roar. But I still think this is too much for Oris to overcome. I just don't see how they're breaking this unless they get a freeze with Articuno in the next few turns. Or honestly, like, right now. I think Danny just sits on it and pressures enough with Carbink and Crocodile to win this game out. Yeah, so you U-turn here, but like, what are you U-turning out to? Lilligant comes in, takes the power gem. Crocodile is just going to come back in. If I'm Orist, I'm probably looking at making a double back out to Articuno here and start fishing for dry freezes onto the Carbink. And then if you can accomplish that, you can start pressuring down the team with Hurricane, because I don't think Crocodile is able to damage the Articuno enough. Yeah, exactly. We see Flamethrower only does 28. We actually see Danny's getting a bit low on Flamethrower PP. So maybe that's one win condition. And alright, there's the freeze we were talking about. From Orist's position here, okay, we see the Roost come out. And we see the immediate thaw. So that doesn't accomplish a whole lot, but that does give them, that should kind of put them onto what they should be doing here to win. Yet we see the U-turn. Lilligant's going to come back out. I think we see we see the body press there from Danny. Like, that's doing a lot, and there's only so many syntheses, so it is tough to find this line. You have to synthesis here as Orist, I think. Yeah. We are going to see Kuno come back out. Now it's forced to Roost. You don't get the freeze dry onto the Carbink. But you are down to 9 Flamethrower. Do we see a Roar here? I'm guessing that... Oh, so this is Boots Tauros. So our second Boots Tauros, actually. I didn't notice that the first time around. I don't know what Roar is accomplishing then, if you're Danny. We see Quacks come out. Makes sense. Lily. Probably see Croc come back out. What's the recover? So they still have 7 slack offs. I still think if you're Orist, you're counting on a freeze to win this game. We'll check back into that anyway. I said that game is going to go on another 5 minutes or so. Oops. What other interesting matchups do we have? We'll take a look at this. Get Slade Sun and Wolf Iron. It does look like Slade is about to clean house with their Lilligant though. Unless Wolf has a Terra on Go-Go that can deal with it, but it doesn't look like they do. Okay, very bulky Goodbye. Ooh, I'm not sure why you're not clicking Earthquake there. I think that was an oversight by Wolf Iron. I think they kind of still had in mind Lily's grass typing there, and they decided to just get it out of the way. I think they would have been able to clean it out with an Earthquake. Well, maybe not actually. You probably don't deal the requisite damage if Dragon Tail's only doing 26. So that means it's probably a bulkier Lilligant set. but we see Tauros come in here anyway. It's the Missy is at too much health for this to be able to win from this position, I think. As yeah, we see a close combat as on the Missy switch is unable to achieve anything. Missy's able to throw off a free wisp here, and yeah, the forfeit comes in there. And Slade moves on to the quarterfinals to play Esta. So that should start soon. They're well ahead of most of this far side of the bracket anyway. Let's see, is Avarice still using Sun? Yes, he is. And looks like he caught a good matchup for himself here with a fire resist Camerupt and not much speed control to be able to pressure Pokemon like Charizard. So I think Charizard is able to clear from here. Well, I'm assuming Scarfandidi is able to come in and pressure. But yeah, if you're Defario here, I'm not sure how you win this game, and I think they've decided, okay, no. I thought they were going to take the timer loss. Do we see a Terra come out on the Tinkatuff here? Because this shouldn't take a sun boosted Terra Fire solar power. Yeah, okay, we do. Wow, that still does a lot. I know it's a critical hit, but that's a lot of damage regardless. But yeah, I like that Terra there. Now you're able to. I don't know if Knock there is correct. I think you get up your rocks and luck to put yourself in a position to win with something like Indeedee. Oh, okay. Maybe they've decided they're just going to go for the power onto Charizard and win with Phalanx strategy. No, it's banded Phalanx, I think. That's really interesting, though. I think Defario had a much better chance than I initially thought if they have banded First Impression Phalanx here. Especially if that's Terra Bug, you can really pressure a lot of the stuff on Avarice's team. But yeah, it looks like it's too little too late on this one, as I think if you're Avarice, you can just get in one of your Sunsetters. We see the Trick Room, but there's just not enough turns to win with that. Sunny Day comes out. Terra is already gone. You're able to, as Avarice, okay, they decide to sack the Murkrow. And you probably just let 2 die, go Scoville and click Flamethrower twice and win the game. Yeah. If I'm Avarice, yeah, second the Strudel here. And then in comes Scoville. Yeah, interesting how this ended up going. I think if you're not forced to use your Terra on Tinkatuff there as Defario, you have a very good chance of winning that endgame. But looks like this one is going to... Oh, maybe not. I don't think Leafeon can take this, actually. Oh, it can, okay. There we go. That was an interesting game. I thought that was well over, and Defario almost managed to claw it back. If they had gotten a crit there with the Psychic, that would have been game. So we see Avarice also move on to the quarterfinals, where they'll play Alert Alotruche. Sorry, I know I butchered that. French is not a language I'm good at. I'm assuming that's French anyway. So I'll check into that in a minute. I want to see what Zooey's using. Zooey is always good for some crazy, wacky teams. This week they brought Dedenne to PUPL, which was a bit of an exciting matchup. Fairly standard build on their end this time, though. Haven't seen a lot of Goodbye since the shifts happened. There's just so many good hazard options in the tier right now. I think it's kind of fallen to the wayside. But yeah, interesting to see it here. And a musician Chatot with, I think, a team. No, this is my team actually. Sorry. Yeah, this is my team. This is a team I passed to Pokegame MD for one of their YouTube lives. So I have the pace there. I can check it if we need to later. But yeah, it's Dual Dance Carbink, which is Rock Polish, Iron Defense, Terra Articuno, Tauros, Scarf and DD, just regular Missy, regular Wishcash. Now they have changed it a little bit by the looks of things. I think the team I initially had was Terra Steel Articuno. Uh, I think Terra Dragon is a very nice change to that team. But yeah, interesting to see that team still getting use. So we see that game's over. I'm assuming Danny won this game. Yes. Okay, so they managed to clean it out with a nasty flop Mischievous. And have they moved on to another game? Oh, they're playing Astro Codex. That should be a good matchup. Codex is also someone who's in PUPL. And Danny, I think this is a team that was brought to PUPL, but I'm not 100% on that. Really scary looking team anyway. I think I actually think these Lilligant, Missy, Kuno builds can be slightly better without Tauros in them. I think not being able to run boots on Tauros is such a detriment to your team in a lot of ways, and I think you can see with Danny here, just being able to have the option of running 6 boots Pokemon and not having to worry about hazards whatsoever is hugely valuable. So I do really like Dugtrio in that Tauros slot, filling that 110 speed tier and providing a bit of a different kind of pressure in that it usually pressures with SD, but it's still a huge amount of pressure it puts on teams. And it also means you're a bit freer to run Carbink because you have that electric immunity. Doesn't force you into running Wishcash, which I think a lot of Tauros builds are forced into. Which I like Wishcash, but I think its role is somewhat diminished in current SVPU because it's a fantastic hazard setter, but I think the metagame is kind of moving towards teams like this where hazards are just completely inconsequential because nothing on this team gets damaged by them. Like, we saw that turn from Codex setting rocks with Wishy, and you're setting rocks solely to chip Mischievous 12% on the Switch. That is all rocks will accomplish for you this game, because you have no form of knockoff on the team, because it's not widely distributed this gen, and everything is running boots. And so, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. Actually, looking at the gameplay here, we saw a bit of an early aggressive attempt to win, or not win, but pressure with Persian Alola by Danny. Hasn't worked out great for them here, as we see they managed to chip Skuntank a little bit, but everything else is nice and healthy, and you're going to be down a little bit going into the rest of the game. Codex again setting hazards, which I don't really understand. I guess they're operating on the assumption that one of these two isn't boots. Lily is definitely boots. Lily is pretty much always boots. But I think you're wrong. I think that's an incorrect assumption. I'm going to go ahead and assume both of these are running boots. Maybe I'll end up being wrong, but I'd be very surprised. I think it's just incorrect not to run boots on these in a team like this. Anyway, we see the Kuno come in, and we actually see Codex's team is a little bit Articuno weak, with no ice resist at all, and not even a Carbink to soak up the ice type attacks. So Danny is very free to just send off a freeze dry here, and yeah, like I think they pick up a kill here on the skunk. Yeah, so that's going to be skunk out of the way for Danny. which would be great for Lilligant in the late game. Yeah, I think that's a bit of an oversight on Codex's end. Just with how good Articuno is right now, it's pretty much like we're seeing in these matches, it's on nearly every team. And to not have some kind of just even a resist to that is a mistake, if you ask me. But anyway, we see the Tauros come in. We saw the Mischievous get toxic, which means it's going to have a much harder time of dealing with this Tauros here, as it's free to just fire off what I assume is going to be an Iron Head. Oh, okay, we see it's the substitute set that's been picking up a little bit of popularity, just for pretty much this exact reason. It's able to sit on Missy, take a power gem. Missy's not able to will-o-wisp it. I think we're going to see Missy's moving forward to start specking into special attack EVs just to be able to break those subs. Because we've seen a decent amount of that recently. A decent amount of Tauros is just substitute, sit on a Missy, be able to pressure it out, and then it puts you in a very good position into this team. Like, the next time Tauros gets in on Articuno, it's going to be a challenge for Danny, and I think we're going to have to see a Terra come out on the Danny end to kind of try and pressure that. I also wonder, 23 into Missy is not a lot. I think that might actually be Boots Tauros. I'm just quickly going to get the calc up here to get an idea. We see Tauros into Mischievous. Sorry. I'll make this defensive. Yeah, 29 to 34. If we move the life orb, yeah, that looks about Jolly Sheer Force, no items. So I'm assuming that's heavy duty boots, Tauros. Which we've talked about a lot as an interesting set. I think with sub it makes a lot of sense, as we do see the carving also ends up being boots. But I like how Codex is positioned for this game. I think they're in a better position for the end game. I just okay, well that's a bit of a mechanical mistake by Codex there, parting shotting on the clear body's carbing, allowing the free initial rocks. But again, I don't understand. I can understand it a bit into Missy here in this instance, because carbing isn't able to put off a lot of initial damage. As I'm assuming we're going to see a power gem come out on its end. Spikes I don't understand at all. I'm assuming they haven't really looked at the calc on Tauros to see its heavy duty boots, but this is a mistake I've been seeing a lot in SVPU, of people just haphazardly putting hazards up when there's simply no need to. And again, we're seeing it here, like an extra 15% on the Mischievous would have been huge, because it puts you in a much better position to revenge kill it with Dugtrio. Like if you had that Missy at 42% rather than 57% right now, that would be a massive difference. And we see it is a nasty plot set. I'm assuming Terra Fairy. I don't think you use your Terra here. I think you're saving. I think you're in a position where you want to save your Terra defensively, just to deal with a late game Lilligant. And I think Danny is kind of looking themselves at saving their Terra offensively for a late game Lilligant. I think that's what this game is going to come down to inevitably. But we see the Articuno force at the Missy with a haze anyway, as Tauros comes in. A very nice switch by Codex to not lose that momentum there by staying into attack, and instead getting Tauros into pressure here is a very nice play. And like we were talking about earlier, we do see the heavy duty boots dodging the hazards, just meaning it's going to be able to pressure for the rest of the game. As Danny recognises its boots, they're able to stay in and at least take an Iron Head as they U-turn out and bring in their boots Dugtrio, revealing that all 5 of these are boots. Spikes are meaningless. Spikes are meaningless. And Codex is in a bit of a tough position here. You can go Wishcash, I guess. I don't think you want to look at going missing here. You can stay in and kind of take the tie, see what it is. I think Danny, I like this line from Danny, recognizing they're behind a bit and making this kind of bold play of, or like almost like a bold kind of statement of, yes, this is a speed tie, but I know you're not going to take it because you're ahead and you want to preserve your position, and they're using that to get an advantage. So I really like how they're playing that there, recognizing the game state and using that to their advantage. As we see, Earthquake gets good damage off on the Persian, means that it won't be able to take one next time, as Danny is able to easily switch into Carbink. I'm going to quickly just look at the tournament site. I know I spent a long time in this game. I'm really enjoying it. I think they're both fairly high level players. I think Danny is a more technically skilled player, whereas Codex tends to know the PU tier a bit more, and I think it's making for a really interesting matchup. So I'm going to have a look at the tournament state, and then we're going to come back to this to see where we are from there. As we saw, that quarter-final matchup with Esterosa ended with Get Slayed Sun winning, moving into the semi-finals. We saw Avarice actually got knocked out. I'm assuming they loaded into a matchup that Sun wasn't going to auto-win, and that was the end of that. That's the thing with Sun, like, when you have to win whatever many rounds, I think it's 5 rounds. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're eventually going to load into a matchup that Sun does not do well into, and then you're just kind of shooting yourself into it in the foot. Zooey playing in the opposite side quarterfinals. I think we're going to see a situation of the tournament being slightly held up because of this Danny side bracket, just because of how stally that first team they brought was. But that's fine, that's what happens in these kind of tours. I think Slade will be waiting for a good while before they get their semi-final matchup here. This one might happen soon though, if we're looking at the Zooey game. No, so this game has just started as well. As we see once again, this is the TMI pass to Pokeaim, getting a bit of usage here into Zooey, who again, fairly standard style build. I think this is the team they brought in the previous round, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, this will be interesting. Cash dying early. Oh, it's Power Herb Solar Beam Charizard, I see. Okay, well let's see that first turn. I'd say that was a funny enough sequence. So we see the Kuno lead into the Charizard. The Flamethrower comes in on the Wishcash hard switch, and Zooey is able to reveal Power Herb Solar Beam to catch it right off the gates. Indeed, he comes in, gets good damage onto the Charizard, which again we saw isn't boots, but that doesn't matter because the rocker for CCC is gone. And Zooey is trying to pressure with the Persian, is unable to do so into the Articuno, who manages to hit 2 Hurricanes to power. I think they're fine to freeze right that turn. I think Hurricane was a bit unnecessary, but works out for them in the end. I think CCC is in a position where Carbink is able to easily answer into this because of... Okay, well, they decided to take this line. I was going to say because the Power Herb is gone, it can't Solar Beam the way it was able to previously. Yeah, I would expect Zooey to be able to take this one. Ah, an Iron Tail. Alright. Now this becomes interesting, because if you're CCC here, you're... Like, are you looking at clicking Terra Oh, I don't think that was correct at all. I think if your CCC there, you can actually win that game quite comfortably by clicking Iron Defense, because we see Iron Tail after 9 defense would have only done about 30, and if you're CCC, if you Iron Defense twice, I think you just straight up win the game with terrifying body press. So I think there's a bit of a misplay there. I think they can still make the play, but no, it's too late now. As we see the Charizard go down with +2 Carbink positioned. I'm assuming this is going to be Scarf Rotom. So we have this one here. I'm going to check into so this one's over here. I'm going to say Codex won this game with Go-Goat in the late game. Would be my guess. Yeah. Let's see what ends up happening. Oh, it's Terrifying Dougie. Okay, this is going to come down to this Tauros Dougie speed tie, I think. Oh, I don't think that's correct from Codex at all. You need your Go-Go. That has to be a Wishcast sack. Yeah, okay, and Danny can just win with Lilligant. Yeah, that's not going to kill. Yeah, I think Codex really misplayed that endgame there. You really needed your Go-Goat. That needed to be a situation of you recognize you're behind and play that speed tie with Dugtrio. But yeah, interesting game altogether. So we've got so yeah, like I said, this was the same team from Zooey. We've got this one still going, and looks like Rotom is going to clean that one up nicely, which will bring them into the semi-finals against Alert Alotro. Sorry, I just can't. I'm gonna call them Alert. And then we've got Danny playing Prince Poochie in the quarterfinals. So Slade is probably going to be waiting a little while for that. As we saw a bit of a misplay from CCC, tricking onto the substituted Rotom. Tauros going to come in, should be able to break the substitute with Terradark Assurance, alright. But yeah, we'll just die to Thunderbolt, doesn't really matter. Missy comes in. I think Missy will take a +2 Thunderbolt or a Blizzard, but at this stage the game is very much over. Lilligant comes in and just cleans up from there. Yeah, so Missy takes that quite comfortably. Yeah, Dugtrio either. Doesn't really matter, whatever way you want to play it from Zooey. I think if you're CCC you can Pain Split here is the thing. They opt not to for some reason. I'm pretty sure this does have Pain Split on it, but that's fine. Let me check, actually. I do have the team. Ignore all of that. This one. Yeah, it does have Pain Split, okay. So we see Danny game has started. This is the quarterfinals, and the Zooey semi-finals has started as well. Interesting build. I think Go-Goat is really good right now. I think we're going to see a lot of it PUPL week 2 as people realize it's one of the few ways to deal with Lilligant, but also just a really good Pokemon in its own right. And I think you see on Zooey's team, they might end up having a good amount of trouble dealing with it, especially once it gets teared up. Yeah, so my early game prediction is a late game Go-Go win from Alert. From Zooey's perspective, Alert doesn't have a very good fire resist, as we see them making the same Charizard lead, and they're going to get the Solar Beam turn one once again. So that's a huge swing for them initially. Means hazards are gone. Funnily enough, with Zooey's team, it's actually already very good into Wishcash. It's like you've got the electric, which is already really good into Wishcash. You've got a Lilligant there, which is an always switch in, but it just means you're up 6-5 initially, and I think it more so means that the Charizard switch-ins are gone. Because now you're... But even at that, like, Zard doesn't get in on anything. Because Zard can't come in on Mischievous anymore because they all run Power Gem. Go-Go runs Rock Slide. Tauros outspeeds and Rock Slides. Electrode outspeeds and Thunderbolts. And then Skuntank, you don't... I don't think you win the 1v1 against... Well, depending on the EV spread and the moves, but if that's like a HP invested gun shot Skuntank, you don't win that 1v1 anyway. So I'm not sure how impactful that turn one swing is, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out anyway. It's always fun to see that turn one, and it's a nice... It at least throws you off if you're playing and you get put down like that early. As we see, the Skuntank is special, so, which means it would have a harder time beating the Charizard, but it gets the double power there after the Persian uses Thunder Wave. I didn't love that play from Zooey. I don't think he should be... Oh, that's really rough. I thought that was a misplay from Zooey, Thunder Waving onto the Skuntank, but it's clearly worked out here. I think you need to preserve your Persian HP though, with how Gabite is already in a body slam range, and nothing on the team really takes them that comfortably. But from where we're at, like, that was a huge momentum swing, getting those Thunder Wave turns right. And now you're in a position as Zooey where Persian is really annoying for this team all of a sudden. I think if you're alert... Okay, we see a Dark Pulse come out there. We see this is Boots as expected. Is this going to be an aggressive Rock Slide? Okay, we see the double onto Electrode on what I'm assuming was a Thunder Wave prediction, but it works out into the Charizard. As Zooey just makes the aggressive hard Dugtrio switch. I wonder if they make the aggressive Iron Head play into the Missy. They do, yeah. You can kind of see the type of line Zooey likes to take. Very, very aggressive, very... not particularly cautious, anyway, I'd like to say. And we've seen it working out for them. I think if you're alert, you just bite the bullet and terror with your Go-Go there. I think it's going to happen anyway. At some point in the game, I think you just take it and get that momentum swing against the Charizard. I don't like how Alert's playing this endgame though. I don't think you needed to sacrifice one into Dugtrio there. We see the bulk up come out from Go-Go. The paralyzation begins, but like, they can definitely win this game with Go-Go. We've seen the Rotom is sub-nasty plot, so it struggles to pressure this a little bit. If Lilligant's the wrong... Like, if this is the right Terra to beat Zard Lily, like, if this is Terra Rock, this game should end. Okay, it's Terra Fire, like Terra Fire as well. You need a few bulk ups now though, because you can't be in a position where you're taking a lot of damage from Dugtrio's Earthquake. But that's fine. I honestly, like, you need one more, and then I think you just win this game, provided you don't get powered, which we have seen is a bit of an issue for Alert. But let's see. Bulk up. Oops. Earthquake. Jolly +3 is doing 255. Yeah, okay, wow, that's... Does that? No. No, that's the wrong tower. Fire... Where's fire? There it is. Oh my god, another one. Oh, that should have been synthesis. Okay. You get... He's getting out of... Okay, he's dodging a few now. I think they just win here by clicking Horn H now. Yeah. That crit was actually quite annoying for them. Oh. Not getting much of a... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. They're not getting much of a break on the paralysis. Thunderbolt comes in. Oh, that gets the kill. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. And then that will be the game, I think. Yeah, that was... I never enjoy watching those games, to be honest. I really dislike paralysis as a mechanic. I think if I was in Alert Latrouche's position, I would be fairly annoyed. They're not fun games to play, where you're basically rolling a dice every turn to see if you get to move. And like you saw that end game, Alert wins that quite comfortably if they don't get powered with the go-go at the end. I think they made misplays along the line, but they still should have won that game. I think, just looking back on it, there was a stage there. Where was it? This turn here. I think if you're Alert here, you need to recognize if you switch out your go-go here, the next time you get to bring it in, you're probably going to end up getting paralyzed and making it harder for you to win the end game. And I think you need to acknowledge that and just say, alright, I'm going to Terrifier here and I'm going to start bulking up, because you are always relying on your Terrifier go-go to win that end game. And allowing... What happened from here? So yeah, we take 65 and Trode, and then we lose the Tauros. I think allowing that to happen was a huge mistake, and it meant you were one bulk up behind when you got powered, because if you're in this situation against Gogo, or against Zard, if you Terrifier here, you get a bulk up off, they make that Persian switch, you get another bulk up off, now you're +2/+2. At a decent HP range, you Horn Leech on the Thunder Wave, you're up to like... what? Flamethrower brings you down to like 80, you Horn Leech, you're back up to like 87, at +2/+2, now you're really well positioned to win this game. So I think that was their big mistake. But, or like, it just would have maximized their odds against the paralysis, I think, because you have stuff in the back if those turns don't go correctly for you. But at the same time, yeah, paralysis sucks, and I think they would have been fine to win that game regardless. As we see, Danny wins this game against Prince Poochie. I know I wasn't watching it, I was focusing on that Zooey one, mainly because that was a semi-finals and Danny's game was a quarters. As we see Danny move into the quarters against Get Slayed Son. As they have both decided to bring the same team. They are both on the same PUPL team, the Destructive the Denny's, the team that I'm the manager for. And I think they both decided to take from our team building dump. As we see a game that should essentially come down to technical skills and who can pilot the build they have better. So we're not too far into this. I'm happy enough going to the first turn and seeing how it's played out from there. As we see a Missy into Doug Trio lead, as Slade just decides to SD off the bat, which is... I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish with that. I'm assuming... Okay, I'm going to say that there's no... Wisp on the Missy if you're making that line, and I'm assuming they both know that, which would make sense there, and would mean that this turn right here was nicely played by Danny to not to read that Slade wasn't going to go for the sucker punch, and instead would Ironhead here. But yeah, tough turn one crit with that in mind, because that doesn't happen. You're in a position where you might be able to 2 KO the Missy and get it out the way early. Persian comes in, taunts the Carbink. I'm not sure what you're accomplishing by thunderbolting into it. I think you need to go into Lilligant there. So I think that's just unnecessary damage you're taking on the Persian for a very minimal chip onto the Carbink. As we see Slade get their own Carbink in on the Articuno read. I'm assuming they're going to get hazards on this turn. No, sorry, there's no reason to get hazards. Well, that's one of the few turns where I would be looking at getting hazards, because you want to pressure the Missy, and pressuring the Missy is probably more valuable than 13% onto the opposing Carbink would be. But I can understand not getting hazards from Slade's perspective as well. If you're trying to put yourself in a position to win with Persian in the late game, then obviously the damage on Carbink is very valuable. I just think it's hard to accomplish that now that you've allowed the Persian to take 39 needlessly. So we see another power gem from the Carbink. Missy comes in, and they're just going to get the pain split this off, which is another one of the reasons why I'm not in love with the idea of power gemming there. Like, you're just making it easier for the Missy to pain split. You've now taken more damage on your Persian, which was meant to be your late game win condition. So I'm just not super sold on some of these plays from Slade. I think not having hazards up at this stage is a mistake, mainly for the Missy. And I think just letting Persian get so weak is definitely a mistake. But that being said, they can definitely still win this game with Lilligant. It's possible they have gone and changed the Tauros on this. That's what I do if I'm reusing from a dump into someone who knows the dump. You know, you change the Tauros to improve the matchup into improve the matchups and just make it a little bit less predictable. As we see, the Kuno gets a freeze dry off on the Carbink. But yeah, I think if you're Slade at this stage, you're very much trying to position yourself for the Lilligant sweep. And if you're Danny, what is this at? I think you can, if you're Danny, I think you can very comfortably win this game with your own Persian Alola. I would probably be looking at winning with that, trying to get to +2 Terra Electric. You T-bolt the Carbink out. Lilligant to 79 won't live +2. Now Lilligant is going to get out of 79 range here, which will change things a little bit. Well, maybe it won't. Like, this is Thunderwave Missy, so Slade's not going to let Missy take that. Yeah, I think Danny can quite comfortably win this with Persian, but I think they're going to be very conservative with their Terra, just in case they need to use it on their Articuno to help soften the Lily matchup a little bit. But yeah, they're very well positioned to win this match, I'd like to say. Oh, more damage onto the Persian. Like, looking at this, and I'm saying that, oh, Slade keeps taking damage on the Persian. They can still win with the Persian. There's really not a lot stopping them from winning with the Persian, even at 37. All you really, yeah, okay, so we get a nasty plot off. Like, I'd honestly be thinking, if I'm Slade right here, I'm not well positioned to win this game. I'm going to Terra Electric right now and see what I can do with it. Like, let's see what the cock is here. Electric. Oh, they don't use their Terra. I don't know. I really don't know about how that Persian was played. I think your Persian matchup is so good here. I think you just bite the bullet and say, alright, I'm going to force the speed tie onto the other Persian and try and win the game that way. You're so far behind at this stage. You can't afford to be making these safe options. Let me just see what, yeah, like, okay, maybe not, I guess, because I'm assuming that's max HP Lily. But even at that, like, you're forcing a 50-50 there. Well, no, you're not really, because Lily comes in and kicks Giga Drain. What does it? With 0 special attack? That's not what I want to see. Yeah, it does, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Where were we? Persian was at 37. Okay. So maybe you can't win with that line, but I just don't see how you're winning the game now. Let me see if I have the paste to see what the Lily and the Kuno Terras are, because I think that's what this game is going to come down to at this stage. Or honestly, I think if you're Danny, you let Carbink die here, you come in, you SD with Dugtrio and win the game. Yeah, okay, I think we're about to see that happen right now. Which changes the dynamic a little bit. It means you don't have to worry about a potential Lilligant reverse sweep or anything. I'm assuming a +2 Dougie will kill with Ironhead onto bulky Lily. Oh no, we see Persian come in. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, I'm going to have this calc just in the back to know. Persian comes in. I'm assuming we're going to see a nasty. I actually kind of expected the taunt. They're making that hard read. Hayes, Kuno. We just see a nasty plot again from Danny, I'm assuming. What was this calc? +2 until wrong move, but yeah, Ironhead EQ damage tells me Ironhead's going to kill from 80. Yeah. So interesting to see that Danny's making the Persian line here instead of the. Yeah, making the Persian line instead of the Dugtrio one that we were talking about there. I don't love that Terra from Kuno when Lily will live a +2 Dark Pulse. I think you needed to save your Terra to win with Lilligant. I don't know what Terra they are, but this is like, this Kuno Terra is a Terra you make to not lose the game. If that makes sense. Like, you're playing not to lose as opposed to playing to win. And I think if you want to win this game, you need to play towards Lily, because now Lily is never going to beat Kuno. Okay, I guess I was making a bit of an oversight there. I didn't realize Kuno was at 28%. But you still don't kill at that range, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because you don't have your Terra. And I think Danny knows that. Like, they know they can keep themselves at that range because Lilligant just won't be able to put that pressure on when it's max HP. But anyway, doesn't matter. Dugtrio is about to win the game, so we're not going to see that end game play out. But yeah, I hope what I was saying about Slays playing this game makes sense. I think they played a little bit too passively, and they weren't playing towards any particular way of winning the game, if that makes sense. And I think it has hurt them a little bit in that it's just meant Danny's been able to put pressure onto pressure onto pressure, and now has them in this situation where they're just going to win with Articuno. Okay, you get the flinch, it doesn't matter. I Yeah, no, that's probably fine. I was thinking you might need to go hard Articuno there as Danny, but yeah, I actually don't think there was much need because you so like they quiver dance with Lily, you iron. Oh, actually, no, I think that was a mistake because then you might sacrifice two quiver dances onto Lily, which puts them in a position that allows them to kill your uh your Kuno. Yeah, I don't know. I really didn't like that line from Danny because if you don't get that flinch there, they synthesis up. They keep synthesizing until they're high enough HP. They get to quiver dance again, and now all of a sudden, non-terror boosted terror blast is killing the opposing Articuno, and they win from there. Surprised by that. It's not like Danny to make that kind of mistake. I'm just going to close this. I'm gonna have to edit that out. As we see the Zooey Danny finals, as Zooey once again with his Power Herb Charizard team, as Danny brings the same build they brought in the last game. Yes, same build they brought in the last game. So I'm going to give Danny the edge on this one. I think Danny's team is better, and no offense to Zooey, I think Zooey has made strides as a player, but I think Danny is just the stronger player in this matchup. But Zooey leading again with the Charizard. Like that's the thing with a team like Zooey. When you have a forced lead on this kind of balancey team, I think it just really limits your options. Um, because like hazards go up, all of a sudden your Charizard is kind of useless. Like well, not that useless, but yeah. Anyway, I actually think Danny is quite weak to the Charizard Zooey has here. We've seen its Iron Tail already, so I'm assuming we're going to see that come out here. But like, even saying that, once again, your Iron Tail Charizard, but weakening Carbink doesn't set your team up well for anything. You've already got a Dugtrio Lolo that beats it. You've got a Lilligant that beats it. You've got this Rotom, which admittedly doesn't love Carbink being there, but can pressure it quite comfortably. And then you've got a Gabite that's kind of indifferent to it. So, and then you've got a pivot Persian Alola that's and doesn't really have a meaningful matchup into Carbink anyway because it's just a pivot Pokemon. So we have a weakened Carbink, but I don't know how meaningful that is, especially given the fact that Charizard is pretty much already dead, and it was your best way of pressuring Danny because they have a fairly flimsy fire resist. So Persian comes in. Yeah, we see Dark Pulse into the Gabite. I think that tells me it's the Def Gabite. If we want to check the calc real quick, rocks go up into the Persian. I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but like Zooey is wasting turns by setting rocks up there. You accomplish so little by only chipping the Mischievous when you've got this really threatening Pokemon in front of you that you would have loved to get chip damage off on. And now because you don't have that chip, you're positioned fairly poorly into it. Like Rotom can't kill from this range. You're going to have to come in with your own Persian. Click Thunder Wave. They might Terra Electric on you, and then you can't get that off. You die in 2 hits. And then you're looking at making some play with your Lilligant to try and deal with it because that's your only option at this stage. So I think that Rock's play right there was a big mistake, and I think it's put Zooey a little bit behind because they don't make any progress by it, and now you're losing your Gabite essentially, which is going to make it really difficult to deal with Dugtrio Alola in the late game. And honestly, even just this version. So we see Zooey bring in their Persian. I was kind of curious to see if Danny would just go for the straight Terra Electric. They decide to. I think this might be Scarf Dugtrio. No, it's not. No, sorry, wrong team. Let me get up a previous. one of Zooey's games. I'm not actually sure we ever saw Dugtrio switch moves in any of these games. Okay. Yeah, Scarfed. So we saw that. I don't know why Danny didn't scout there. I think Danny knows better than that. But Lilligant comes in, clicks Quiver Dance. I guess it's fair enough if you're kind of looking at it in the sense that you want to lock Dugtrio into Earthquake so that you can just come in and win with Lilligant. I think Danny's in an interesting position now, though, that where they've used their Terra offensively, and now they have somewhat opened themselves up to losing to Lilligant if Zooey decides to use their own Terra offensively, because now you don't have that defensive Terra onto Kuno. I think you're going to be fine. I think Danny's a good enough player to position themselves to not lose or not allow Lilligant those setups, but it does just make this end game a little bit tricky to navigate. And I can definitely see a world where Zooey wins this game with Lilligant. I'm also kind of curious to see what this Dugtrio is going to do from here. Is this just going to Ironhead and hope for Flint? I'm not sure what else the Scarf Dougie does. Okay, so we see a Scarf Terror Ice that doesn't kill. Wow. And now Lilligant runs away with the game. I guess we can see what the calc is like on that. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, we like, this is going to die. Doesn't really matter if it doesn't. It can't kill with Blizzard because it's +2s to def. And Zooey cannot win with their own Lilligant because they don't have their own Terror to play with. Let's see what is just going to be, oops, a nice and clean win from Danny's Lilligant. I'm kind of wondering if when Danny's Lilligant was +111, I think Zooey might have been in a position to come in with their own Lilligant and start Quiver Dancing. And if they were a Terra that beats Danny's Lilligant, I think they win the game. I think they kind of decide to go for that big power play by Dugtrio, but again, I don't know if that's a play that's kind of trying to win the game, or as opposed to just dealing with something in the moment. But yeah, really enjoyable tour. I thought we had some fantastic games. I thought there was some great stuff to see, some really cool teams. Shout out to Solar Beam Charizard, and a huge congratulations to Danny for winning the tournament. Thank you for everyone to everyone who joined in, decided to take part. I would show you the bracket, but Showdown does not allow me to do that, so I won't be doing that. But yeah, congratulations. Thank you for everyone who took part, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Sorry, I have no idea how to end these. I still haven't figured this part of it out, but thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.